The one person who I think has been really happy about all of this is Prince Andrew. I'm guessing that he has been nudging the royal family. Can you believe what Meghan did, huh? Can you believe it?
And this is sweet. Meghan Markle said she has a finger they can use if they need it.
Why is the press and the palace refusing to look or comment or report on Meghan Markle's links to the same individual? And most importantly, her relationship, her close personal...
Nobody saw that moment coming at all. But everything flipped in seconds. The energy started off smooth and relaxed, then Colin suddenly switched the tone without warning. He looked forward, stayed calm, and dropped a joke that instantly shifted the entire room. He mentioned a supposed UK trade deal and casually added a line about sending Meghan Markle back. And for a split second, everything froze. Then boom! The crowd reacted all at once with loud mixed energy that nobody could ignore. It was one of those moments where you could feel the tension and surprise hit at the same time. Now this is where things really escalated. Colin didn't stop there. He doubled down and followed it up with another line about it only happening if she deleted her entire Instagram, and that second comment, it sent the audience into an even louder, more chaotic reaction. People weren't just reacting, they were fully locked into the moment, and it didn't stay inside the studio either. Within minutes, social media lit up like crazy. Clips started spreading fast, debates popped up everywhere, and people couldn't stop talking about it. It quickly turned into one of those viral situations where everyone feels like they need to jump in and give their take. But while a lot of viewers online were entertained and reacting in real time, reports say the response somewhere else was completely different. Over in Montecito, the mood was described as much more serious. Sources suggest Meghan didn't brush it off at all, and instead, the atmosphere became tense fast, with frustration quietly building behind the scenes. This wasn't just background noise anymore.
There's some speculation that she was on Epstein's yacht at one point in time. There was like photos with her and Prince Andrew way back in the day when she was like in her early 20s. Wow.
Why aren't they pushing this nuclear button and just let the world know about Meghan Markle?
Do you think your sister, Meghan Markle, has ruined Prince Harry?
The answer is yes. I mean, every single interview, every single picture, every place they go, Meghan grabs him. Meghan controls him. Meghan tells him no. Meghan stands in front of him. She controls every single situation like...
It landed in a way that felt way more direct. And that's exactly why people couldn't ignore it. This wasn't about old headlines or personal history getting dragged back up. It locked in on her public image, something critics had been quietly watching for a long time. And suddenly, it was right there in the spotlight. Under the cover of a joke, there was a sharp edge to what was said, and people picked up on it instantly. It didn't feel light or random at all. It felt intentional, like a signal that something bigger was building behind the scenes. The tone shifted fast, and just like that, everything started to feel like it could spiral at any second. Before the moment even had time to settle, the internet jumped in and took things to a whole new level. Just days after that headline moment, a strange set of photos started spreading everywhere online. They weren't crystal clear, but they looked way too polished to be random. The framing, the angles, the whole setup. It all felt deliberate, like something meant to grab attention. The setting showed a luxury yacht cruising along a bright European coastline, shining under clear skies with that high-end, almost cinematic look. Everything about it screamed luxury. Well-dressed people, designer sunglasses, drinks in hand, relaxing like it was. Nothing while staff moved around taking care of every detail. And right in the middle of it all, there was a woman styled to perfection. Sleek look, confident energy, completely at ease, smiling like she owned the entire moment. That's when everything really took off.
How she's exposing her as a yacht girl, someone who was paid off by rich men to go and hang out.
You know, I mean, she used to be on Deal or No Deal. Look, she was on Deal or No Deal.
Yeah, that's right.
Listen, I brought Meghan Markle, whatever her name is, to my my Deal or No Deal celebrity golf tournament. She was one of my Deal or No Deal girls that were, she was a caddy for all of my...
Suggested that the then Meghan Markle likely spent time with Prince Andrew.
People online immediately started pointing out a strong resemblance. And even though nothing was confirmed, that didn't slow anything down. Platforms like Reddit, TikTok, and X lit up instantly. Users started breaking everything down frame by frame, zooming in, comparing features, analyzing angles, even focusing on tiny details like accessories, posture, and body language. The comment sections got intense fast. Some people were fully convinced they had it figured out, while others pushed back just as strongly. Posts claiming it was Meghan started spreading quickly, but it was all speculation. Still, within hours, the situation exploded into a full online storm with opinions flying in every direction. These weren't blurry throwbacks people could easily ignore either. The images looked recent, sharp, and way too put together to dismiss. Everything about them created tension. It didn't feel like coincidence, and what really pushed things over the edge wasn't just how they looked. It was when they appeared, the timing had people raising eyebrows instantly. Right as Meghan was stepping into what looked like a major image refresh, there were talks of new projects, a lifestyle direction, a polished rollout of a new public phase. And then suddenly, these yacht rumors came rushing back into the spotlight. Loud, fast, and impossible to ignore. That's when the shift really started to hit. The rollout she had been building began to feel unstable. Not because anything was confirmed, but because of what people believed they were seeing. And in situations like this, perception moves faster than facts. The photos didn't need to prove anything.
Was a hoe. He knows that Meghan Markle had a relationship with Prince Andrew. He knows that he is stuck in California. He knows he has wrecked his life with a D-list mattress actress.
And it seems like that lady is a temptress. She's a siren. She's lured him into the rocks.
Girl past, set to be exposed in a new documentary that's finally going to air next month. Let's put it this way, I smell her.
The conversation alone was enough to shake everything up. For years, Meghan's image has been about more than just appearances. It's been tied to a full lifestyle idea. Clean visuals, calm routines, wellness-focused moments, and that polished, aspirational look people recognize instantly. That identity became strong, consistent, and easy for people to connect with. But once those yacht images started circulating, the contrast became the main focus. The setting, the energy, the people, it all looked very different from what audiences were used to seeing. And that difference is what grabbed attention so quickly. Online discussions picked up speed immediately. Some users suggested the photos could be from an earlier stage in her career, while others questioned that completely. Claims, counterclaims, side-by-side comparisons, it all started stacking up fast. And just like that, the conversation shifted direction. It wasn't just about whether the images were real anymore. It became about how this moment, real or not, could impact the public image she had spent years shaping. That's where things started to feel complicated, because the issue wasn't just timing, it was the contrast. The image people had in mind didn't match what they thought they were seeing, and once that disconnect became noticeable, it spread everywhere. Suddenly, the story Meghan had carefully built started to feel out of sync in the eyes of some viewers. People online began pointing out what they saw as a clash. You can't promote a calm, polished lifestyle while appearing connected to scenes filled with extreme luxury.
Markle was a close past associate of Prince Andrew and would have seen or participated or been around whatever he was doing. Why isn't the press calling this out?
ABC has announced plans for a spin-off to the hit series Suits, which will be set in Los Angeles. It will focus on Meghan Markle's character's struggle to balance her legal career while also caring for an
high-profile environments and magazine-level visuals at the same time. That's what some were saying. And as those images kept circulating in clear detail, the discussion only grew louder and more intense. But at its core, this situation wasn't really about money or a high-end setting. It was about perception, timing, and how quickly public opinion can shift when everything doesn't seem to line up. What really pushed everything forward was how people started interpreting what they were seeing. That's when things got complicated fast. It wasn't just about the images anymore. It became all about perception. And once that took over, the entire situation shifted. Her public image didn't appear overnight. It was built step by step, piece by piece. Every interview, every appearance, every carefully chosen moment added to a bigger picture that reflected control, confidence, and a very specific kind of polished elegance. That identity became familiar to a lot of people. It was consistent, recognizable, and easy to follow. But then those photos entered the conversation. And suddenly, for some viewers, things didn't seem to line up anymore. That contrast is what kept people talking non-stop. As more users joined in, the discussions went deeper and deeper. Some started bringing back older rumors that had been floating around for years, while others questioned why those same topics were suddenly resurfacing again. It wasn't new, but it also never fully disappeared. And now it was back louder than ever. What used to stay in smaller corners of the internet suddenly got
was Jeffrey Epstein's last known girlfriend. She is on record saying that the only times she flew on a plane, went on a yacht, or whatever was with her boyfriend, Jeffrey Epstein. And here we have Rachel Meghan Markle parading on a yacht since 2014.
Nasty, and says he feels sorry for Prince Harry because his wife is a lot to deal with.
The pictures are there. We can all see them. Why isn't anybody
pulled into the mainstream conversation? The topic came back stronger, with more attention and way more intense reactions than before. It was like everything that had been quiet suddenly got amplified all at once. When Meghan stepped into royal life with Prince Harry, a lot of those older rumors faded out almost instantly. They were pushed aside, dismissed, and labeled as nothing more than noise from critics. Most people stopped paying attention to them completely, until now. Because once those yacht images started circulating again, they didn't just spark conversation, they reopened a story many thought was gone for good. And the reaction was immediate. People who once ignored the claims started taking a second look, while others who believed it all along began speaking up louder than ever. The internet shifted into full overdrive. Old footage started resurfacing, forgotten interviews came back into focus, and creators began digging through past discussions like they had been waiting for this exact moment. Videos that had been buried for years suddenly started gaining massive attention again. Views stacked up fast, and it almost felt like everything connected to her name was being pushed right back into the spotlight all at once. But that wasn't the only thing driving the situation. New layers of speculation started building on top of the old ones. Anonymous voices began hinting at connections, dropping vague claims about exclusive circles and high-level events. Nothing was confirmed, but that didn't slow the momentum at all. People online started digging deeper, revisiting past stories and trying to piece together a bigger picture.
Harry married a talentless Soho house, alleged, named Meghan Markle. And I've seen this before. But I have to admit,
it was planned from the beginning. She denied being interested in the royal family, which she totally was. I know someone who knows the ex-husband who said she had a vision.
Some described her as highly driven, always making strategic moves in her career. Others pushed back just as strongly, questioning those narratives and calling them unfair. Then another detail got pulled back into focus. Her former lifestyle blog, The Tig, started trending again. Archived posts began circulating, with people pointing to mentions of luxury travel and exclusive invitations that sounded almost unreal. The kind of experiences most people never see up close. That added even more curiosity to an already intense situation. Suddenly, those polished lifestyle moments started hitting differently for a lot of viewers. The calm yoga clips, the glowing travel photos, the feel-good captions, they didn't land the same way anymore for some people watching. What once felt like simple inspiration started looking more calculated to certain audiences. Every post, every quote, every carefully chosen image from her past was being analyzed under a whole new level of attention. What had previously been dismissed by her team as unfair speculation was now being looked at again from a different angle. Critics started asking new questions, wondering if there was more to the story, while others continued to defend her just as strongly. Then came the moment that really caught people off guard. Right when everything was getting louder and more chaotic, Meghan didn't respond at all. No reaction, no pushback, nothing. And somehow that silence made everything feel even bigger. Usually, when public figures face situations like this, they follow a familiar pattern. They deny it, post something indirect, or try to shift attention somewhere else. That's what people expect. But this time, none of that happened.
To friends about the not-so-secret relationship with him and Meghan Markle, and this is why Prince Harry wants to end the marriage, and is so disgusted he can barely touch his woman.
And then the wife convinces you to leave the royal family. Like, I'm out. I don't need...
No statement, no social media response, no indirect message. Just complete silence. And that unexpected move only added more intensity to the situation, leaving people watching closely and waiting for what might happen next. In today's media world, staying quiet doesn't come across as passive. It feels intentional. That's how many people started interpreting it. The silence wasn't seen as calm. It was viewed as a move, a decision, something strategic. Because usually, when a story isn't accurate, public figures respond quickly. They present their side, clarify things, or shut the conversation down before it spreads too far, especially when it directly affects their image. But this time, none of that happened, and people noticed immediately. Even supporters who normally step in right away seemed unsure how to react. Influencers who once promoted her projects, bloggers who supported her message, and commentators who defended her decisions all seemed to pause at the same time. The silence didn't just come from one side, it spread across the entire conversation. And a big reason for that was how complicated everything felt. Trying to match those yacht images with a public identity built around advocacy, growth, and resilience created a situation that many people didn't know how to fully process. It left a lot of unanswered questions, and that's what made everything feel even more intense. A gap opened up that people couldn't easily explain. And once that happened, the conversation took on a life of its own. For someone whose story has often been framed around building success independently, many started wondering how that matched up with the level of access and luxury now being talked about. That question didn't go away. It kept coming back again and again, and instead of calming things down, the silence seemed to make everything louder. Online conversations kept growing.
Montecito, they are billionaires, they're superstars, and they don't like publicity. They live in Montecito to avoid photographers, and they believe that Harry and Meghan, with their pretty obvious pursuit of publicity, are spoiling the privacy of Montecito.
Today's Suits actress Meghan Markle married some unemployed dude.
More people jumped in, and the opinions became more direct. Some even started asking straight up, if it wasn't her, wouldn't there be a clear response? That question started circulating everywhere, but no response came. No statement, no pushback, no visible effort to shut anything down. Just silence. And in a space where every move gets watched closely, that kind of quiet doesn't go unnoticed. It becomes part of the story itself. And instead of slowing things down, that silence only amplified everything. With every hour passing and no reaction, more people leaned into the speculation. The internet moved fast, memes started popping up, reaction clips took over, and platforms like TikTok and Instagram filled with edits and commentary non-stop. The momentum didn't slow down at all. It kept building. You could almost feel people asking, is this actually real? That energy kept growing stronger by the minute, but away from the public eye. Reports suggested something very different was happening. Instead of everything being calm, sources described a tense atmosphere behind the scenes. There were mentions of urgent calls, constant messaging, and efforts to regain control of the narrative before it spiraled further. Some even suggested outreach to media contacts, trying to redirect attention toward her projects, charity work, or anything that could shift focus away from the yacht discussions and that viral moment. But by then, things had already taken off. That one joke didn't just land, it triggered something much bigger. And once the internet locks onto a topic like this, it moves fast and doesn't slow down easily. It grows beyond any single response. The shift in perception became impossible to ignore. Meghan
covering for them. And what will it take? Will it take something to be exposed that is so terrible that they will actually talk about it? Meghan Markle, apparently her goal was to snatch Prince Andrew. But of course, at the time, there was no way she was going.
Long associated with polished branding and inspirational messaging, suddenly became a trending topic for completely different reasons. Social platforms filled up with edits, commentary, and breakdowns of every stage of her public journey. Even past quotes started getting pulled back into the spotlight. Clips of her speaking about empowerment were being paired with the ongoing speculation, creating content that mixed serious messaging with humor, criticism, and nonstop analysis. And even people who usually supported her found it difficult to redirect the conversation. The momentum had already moved too far. Then the situation didn't just stay online, it started reaching into Hollywood as well. Behind the scenes, the tone reportedly shifted quickly. Industry insiders began hinting that producers and PR teams were asking more serious questions than usual. There were even claims that some projects were being quietly reconsidered, while a few brand deals were reportedly put on pause, not because of a lack of influence, but because uncertainty started to creep in. And in that space, unpredictability makes people cautious fast. In entertainment, image isn't just important, it drives everything. It shapes opportunities, partnerships, and long-term plans. And almost overnight, the perception around Meghan seemed to take a hit in the public conversation. There's a well-known idea in PR. Once attention turns in a negative direction, it becomes extremely difficult to reverse that momentum. When the narrative shifts online, it moves faster than any strategy designed to contain it. And while all of this was unfolding, the situation didn't stay focused on just one person. Harry was suddenly pulled right into the center of it too. Whether expected or not, his name became part of the conversation just as quickly.
Uses every conceivable way to try and play the victim and score points.
Why is Meghan Markle still being protected? Andrew's ready to leak the entire thing along with Sarah Ferguson because Fergie allegedly reached out to Meghan Markle for help now that they've lost the titles. But Meghan Markle, being the narcissist psycho that she is, that she discards people, she discards relationships.
Their public image has always been closely connected, so the attention naturally spread. It showed up everywhere: thumbnails, headlines, social posts, all tying them together into the same storyline. Media coverage and online commentary blended both of their names into the situation, making it even bigger than before. It added another layer to everything that was already unfolding, making the situation feel even more complex. Just when things already seemed intense, new details started slipping into the conversation and pulling even more attention. Some reports even suggested that Harry had stepped back during the peak of all the noise, keeping a lower profile while everything played out. And that alone sparked even more curiosity online. That detail didn't go unnoticed. It actually made people ask even more questions. One line that started spreading across platforms really captured the mood people were describing. He looks like a man realizing the fairy tale came with fine print. And once that phrase caught on, it moved fast and became part of the bigger conversation almost instantly. Critics who had questioned Harry for years didn't hold back this time. Their takes became sharper, louder, and more direct. Some online voices painted a harsh picture, describing him as someone who walked away from royal status, close family ties, and his entire home base for a relationship that was now being looked at with more skepticism. According to those perspectives, they believed he might not have fully seen the bigger picture from the beginning. And once that idea started circulating, it only added more intensity to the discussion. Behind the scenes, the dynamic between the two also became a major topic of speculation. Reports suggested their once tightly aligned partnership didn't look as steady as before. There were claims that Harry had been spending more time on his own, stepping back from shared planning, missing certain discussions, and keeping a noticeably lower profile. Some sources even hinted that he could be rethinking certain decisions. At the same time, Meghan was said to still be actively working to regain control of the narrative. She has often been seen as highly strategic when it comes to media, and according to reports, that approach hadn't changed. But the contrast stood out. While she remained engaged, Harry was being described as more quiet and distant. And that difference only raised more questions. Some outside commentary took things even further, suggesting he might be feeling pressure from the non-stop attention. Because when the spotlight stays this intense for so long, it can start to feel overwhelming. That's how many observers were interpreting the situation from the outside looking in. But beyond all the speculation, the bigger conversation started shifting toward something deeper. This moment wasn't just about photos or rumors anymore. It became about image and perception. Meghan's public journey has always been closely followed. From early acting roles to becoming a globally recognized public figure, every phase of her life has contributed to a carefully shaped identity. Her transition into royal life, followed by her independent projects, built a narrative that people instantly recognized. Every appearance, every interview, every photo added another piece to that story, one centered on growth, reinvention, and control. That's exactly why this moment stood out so strongly, because for the first time in a while, that polished narrative was being questioned in a very public way. That viral joke from Colin, in the eyes of the internet, wasn't the beginning. It was the trigger. It was the moment where everything people thought they understood started getting re-examined. As soon as those older photos came back into circulation, it felt like something opened up. Past connections, shifting circles, and carefully timed moves that once seemed normal were suddenly being looked at from a completely different angle. People started asking, was there more going on behind the scenes this whole time? And once that question took hold, the tone online shifted completely. It wasn't just reactions anymore, it turned into deep analysis. Frame by frame, post by post, moment by moment. People started breaking everything down, trying to figure out what felt genuine and what might have been carefully presented. Clips, screenshots, and archived content spread rapidly. And as people pieced everything together, some critics began saying the story didn't look like simple growth anymore. Instead, they described it as selective storytelling, highlighting certain parts while leaving others behind. That idea quickly became a major talking point because for many watching, this situation moved beyond surface-level speculation. It became about image control, about shaping a narrative that aligns perfectly with a specific message. Anything that didn't seem to fit that image started getting pulled back into the spotlight and questioned. Her public presence has always leaned heavily on visuals and messaging. Clean aesthetics, polished interviews, and carefully chosen words helped build a strong identity over time. And that approach worked until some people felt like they were seeing something that didn't match. Once that perception sets in, it becomes very hard to reverse. When someone becomes part of online humor and viral content, it spreads fast and sticks around. No single response can fully pull it back once it reaches that level. The reactions don't disappear. They stay active across comments, videos, and ongoing discussions. And in moments like this, the conversation doesn't fade. It evolves. More people join in, more opinions get added, and the story keeps growing. Once someone's image becomes part of public entertainment, control naturally starts slipping. That's the reality of how things move today. At that point, it's no longer just about what is presented, it's about how everything is interpreted by everyone watching. Right now, the conversation around Meghan appears to be shifting. Instead of being seen only as a bold outsider or someone who challenged tradition, more voices are starting to frame her as highly strategic when it comes to her public image. Some critics are even suggesting that the most carefully built brand has always been her persona itself. And with older content resurfacing, that polished image is being viewed from a completely different angle. Even small, everyday moments are now being pulled into the discussion. One person pointed out that she visited a yoga spot they recognized, saying now that she was seen there, it would likely attract even more attention. And that just shows how far the conversation has spread, down to the smallest details, becoming part of a much bigger narrative. That line stayed with people because it showed just how closely her presence is tied to influence and visibility. It made everything feel bigger than just a moment. It turned into something people wanted to break down and understand. At this point, the narrative doesn't feel like a simple fairy tale anymore. It feels like something constantly being analyzed from every angle, not just about relationships or titles, but about presentation, timing, and how a long-term image is built and maintained over time. Because when a story depends heavily on looking polished and flawless, any contrast stands out instantly. And once people notice that difference, it spreads fast and becomes difficult to control. That's why for many watching, this was never just about rumors. It turned into a much bigger conversation about how the past and present can collide in public view, and how quickly online platforms can bring everything back into focus. Now it's your turn. What do you think about everything that's been unfolding? Do you see this as just hype, or do you think the narrative really shifted? Make sure you like, subscribe, share this with others, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. And I'll catch you in the next one.